The Qur'an as a grand puzzle, the dance of digits. Imagine the Qur'an not merely as a scripture, but as a grand cosmic puzzle, where each verse, each word, and even each letter engages in a mesmerizing dance of digits. This dance isn't just about numbers. It's about the symphony they create, weaving through the text to unveil layers of meaning and divine wisdom. The grand puzzle. The Qur'an in its entirety could be seen as an intricate mosaic where every piece, from the smallest particle of meaning to the grand themes, fits perfectly into a divine puzzle. Each surah, chapter, each ayah, verse, and each half, letter, is like a piece of this puzzle. The numeric patterns we encounter might be the keys to understanding how these pieces interlock, offering a glimpse into the divine craftsmanship. The dance of digits, prime numbers. These are the soloists in this dance, solitary and unique, reflecting the oneness of Allah. Each prime number in the Qur'an's structure could be a moment of divine revelation, shining with singular truth amid the complex patterns of language. Symmetry and balance. The symmetry in numeric placement, like the mirroring of key words in verses, could be seen as the dance of balance, embodying the Islamic principle of justice and equilibrium. It's a choreography where every step, every number, balances the scales between the seen and the unseen. Cycles and patterns. The recurrence of numbers might represent the cyclical nature of life, death, and resurrection, a cosmic dance where each cycle brings us back to the beginning, to the core of divine truth. The role of zero. In this dance, zero would be the pause, the silence between the notes, reminding us of the void from which creation springs, the humility needed before the divine, and the infinite possibilities within nothingness. Fractals and infinity. Like fractals, the Qur'an's numeric patterns could invite us to zoom into its layers, finding the same divine message at every scale, from the macro to the micro, suggesting that the dance of digits is endless, just like Allah's attributes. Pondering the puzzle, divine language. If numbers are part of this divine language, then every digit, every pattern is a letter or a word in a script that speaks to the soul, transcending mere human understanding. This language invites us to listen, to learn, to interpret with both heart and mind. A path to reflection. The puzzle-like nature of the Qur'an with its numeric dance is not to be solved in the conventional sense, but to be pondered upon. It's a journey through which we learn about ourselves, our faith, and the universe. Each number a step towards understanding the divine. Mystery and humility. The more we delve into this numeric puzzle, the more we realize how little we understand, fostering humility. The Qur'an's depth, with its numeric intricacies, reminds us that the ultimate truth lies beyond all human comprehension, a mystery to be lived rather than solved. The ethical dimension. This dance of digits should guide us back to the ethical teachings of Islam. The numbers are not an end, but a means to engage with the Qur'an's moral compass, encouraging us to live righteously, with compassion and justice. Unity and diversity. Across the Islamic world, interpretations of these numeric patterns vary, yet they all point to the same Qur'an, the same message. This diversity in understanding the puzzle reflects the unity in faith, where different paths converge at the heart of Islam. Conclusion. In pondering the Qur'an as a grand puzzle with a dance of digits, we are invited to a lifelong engagement with the text, where numbers are not just mathematical entities, but spiritual guides. They dance through the verses, inviting us into a deeper communion with the divine, reminding us that while we may never fully piece together this puzzle, the journey itself is transformative, leading us closer to the essence of divine, the oneness of Allah, to a life lived in accordance with the divine will, and to an appreciation of the boundless mystery of life. Continuing to contemplate the Qur'an as this grand puzzle, we delve deeper into the dance of digits, where each number seems to perform its own sacred ballet across the pages of Revelation. The symphony of numbers, harmonic resonance. Just as music has frequencies that resonate with our souls, numbers in the Qur'an might carry a harmonic resonance, tuning our hearts to the divine frequency. Each numeric pattern could be seen as a note in a celestial symphony, creating a melody that transcends time, urging us to listen with more than just our ears. Temporal and eternal. The dance of digits also speaks to the interplay between the temporal world and the eternal. Numbers, which are both finite in their immediate representation and infinite in their conceptual reach, might symbolize this dance between the fleeting moments of our lives and the eternal truth of Allah. Unlocking layers, multidimensional understanding. The Quran's numeric intricacies suggest a text that operates on multiple dimensions: literal, allegorical, and esoteric. The numbers are like keys unlocking these dimensions, inviting us to explore the Quran not just as a historical or legal text, but as a living, breathing entity that speaks to each generation in its own language. Hidden meanings. The puzzle aspect implies that there are layers of meaning waiting to be discovered. Each number could be a signpost to hidden wisdom, encouraging a form of exegesis that is both intellectual and spiritual, where one's heart and mind work in unison to uncover deeper truths. The dance and the dancers, human participation. We are not just spectators in this dance, we are participants. The numeric patterns challenge us to engage, to think, to question, and to reflect upon our role in this divine choreography. Each person's interpretation becomes part of the dance, adding to the richness of understanding. Community and individuality. While the Quran is a collective revelation for all Muslims, the numeric puzzle also speaks to individual spiritual journeys. Each believer might find personal significance in numbers, leading to a unique yet interconnected dance of faith within the community. Philosophical and mystical dimensions, the nature of reality. The dance of digits might push us to ponder the nature of reality itself. Are numbers the fabric of the universe, a language through which Allah communicates His order, or are they merely human constructs that we project onto divine revelation? Esoteric versus exoteric. This numeric dance navigates the thin line between the esoteric batin and exoteric zahir understandings of the Quran. While numbers might delve into the mystical, the core message of the Quran remains accessible, reminding us not to lose sight of the practical guidance for life. The infinite puzzle, continual revelation. In a way, the numeric patterns suggest that the Quran is a continually revealing text. Each reading, each contemplation might reveal new aspects, new dances of digits, showing that the Quran is not static but dynamic, alive with the breath of divine wisdom. The beauty of complexity. The complexity of these numeric patterns is seen to marvel at the beauty of creation. Just as one might stand in awe before the vastness of the cosmos, the numeric puzzles of the Quran reflect the grandeur of Allah's science, nature, in these grand puzzles where numbers dance, we are reminded that the Quran is not just to be read, it's to be lived, not just to be understood. The dance of digits is a call to humility, to recognize our limitations in understanding the infinite, yet it's also an invitation to engage, to explore, to grow. The Quran, through its numeric dance, becomes a mirror to us, reflecting our quest for knowledge, our longing for connection with the divine, and our journey through this life towards the eternal. In this dance, we find not just answers, but questions, an open invitation to wonder and worship. The Quran, revealed to the Prophet Muhammad over 1400 years ago, stands as the sacred text of Islam. This holy scripture, composed of 114 chapters known as surahs, is not just a religious text but a profound literary masterpiece. Each surah, each verse and each word is believed to be divinely inspired, carrying layers of meaning that have been the subject of contemplation and study for centuries. It is revered by Muslims worldwide as the literal word of God, a guide for life, and a source of profound spiritual wisdom. The Quran's teachings encompass every aspect of human existence, offering guidance on morality, law, personal conduct, and the nature of the universe itself. Its verses are recited in daily prayers, memorized by millions, and serve as a source of comfort and inspiration. Beyond its linguistic beauty and ethical teachings, the Quran presents a fascinating tapestry, woven with intricate numerical patterns. These patterns are not immediately apparent to the casual reader, but reveal themselves through careful study and contemplation. They are embedded within the text, creating a complex web of numerical relationships that hint at a deeper divine order. These patterns, often subtle and multi-layered, have captivated scholars and mystics for centuries. From the earliest days of Islam, scholars have sought to uncover the hidden numerical codes within the Qur'an, believing that these patterns hold keys to understanding the divine message more fully. Mystics, too, have found in these numbers a source of spiritual insight, seeing them as a reflection of the divine mind. They offer a glimpse into the divine precision underlying the universe and invite us to contemplate the profound connection between faith and reason. The numerical patterns in the Qur'an suggest that the text is not just a collection of words, but a carefully constructed work of divine art, where every element has its place and purpose. This invites believers to see the Qur'an as a bridge between the spiritual and the rational, the seen and the unseen. This exploration delves into the captivating world of numbers within the Qur'an. We will examine how these numbers are woven into the fabric of the text, creating a rich tapestry that speaks to the unity and harmony of creation. By understanding these numerical patterns, we can gain new insights into the Qur'an's message and appreciate its depth and complexity. We will journey through the significance of prime numbers, the elegance of symmetry, and the role these elements play in the structure of the Qur'an. Prime numbers, which are only divisible by one in themselves, have a unique place in mathematics and in the Qur'an. Their presence in the text suggests a hidden order and invites us to explore the deeper meanings behind the words and the allure of mathematical constants like the golden ratio. The golden ratio, a mathematical constant found in nature and art, also appears in the Qur'an, suggesting a connection between the divine and the natural world. This ratio, which has fascinated mathematicians and artists for centuries, adds another layer of meaning to the text, showing how the Qur'an reflects the beauty and order of creation. We will also uncover the ancient system of Abjad numerals and their role in unlocking deeper layers of meaning. The Abjad system, which assigns numerical values to letters, has been used by scholars to uncover hidden messages and patterns within the Qur'an. By understanding this system, we can see how the text's numerical structure adds to its richness and depth. This is not merely an academic exercise in pattern recognition. It is a journey into the heart of the Qur'an, where numbers and words come together to create a harmonious whole. By exploring these patterns, we can deepen our understanding of the text and see it in a new light. It is an invitation to engage with the Qur'an on a deeper level, to appreciate its multifaceted nature, and to understand how these numerical patterns can enhance our understanding of its message. The Qur'an's numerical patterns are like a hidden language, speaking to those who take the time to listen and contemplate. They invite us to see the text not just as a set of instructions, but as a living, breathing work of divine art. Ultimately, this exploration aims to illuminate the profound connection between the spiritual and the mathematical, revealing the Qur'an as both a divine revelation and a testament to the inherent order and harmony of the cosmos. By understanding the numerical patterns within the Qur'an, we can see how the text reflects the unity and balance of creation, offering us a glimpse into the divine mind and the beauty of the universe. Prime numbers, divisible only by one in themselves, are fundamental elements in the realm of mathematics. These numbers, such as 2, 3, 5, 7, and so on, cannot be formed by multiplying two smaller natural numbers. They stand alone, unique in their properties and essential in the construction of other numbers. Prime numbers hold a unique place in mathematics. They are often considered the building blocks of the number system, much like atoms are the building blocks of matter. Without prime numbers, the entire structure of mathematics would be fundamentally different. They are the building blocks of all other numbers, making them essential to the fabric of mathematical reality. Every composite number can be broken down into a product of prime numbers, which highlights their foundational role in the number system. Within the Qur'an, these unique numbers appear in intriguing ways, often coinciding with significant events or concepts. The presence of prime numbers in the Qur'an is not merely coincidental. It suggests a deeper, more profound connection between the divine text and the mathematical order of the universe. For instance, the number 7, a prime number, resonates throughout the Qur'an. There are 7 heavens, 7 earths, and 7 gates of hell. This number appears repeatedly, signifying its importance and the divine order it represents. The 7 gates of hell are mentioned in the Qur'an, each gate representing a different level of punishment. This repetition of the number 7 in such a significant context underscores its spiritual and symbolic weight. The Qur'an itself is divided into 7 equal parts for recitation during Ramadan. This division facilitates the complete recitation of the Qur'an over the course of the holy month, emphasizing the spiritual significance of the number 7. This repetition emphasizes the importance of the number 7, suggesting a connection to completeness, perfection, or divine creation. The number 7 is often associated with wholeness and divine perfection in various religious and spiritual traditions. Another example is the number 19, a prime number associated with the angels guarding hellfire. The Quran mentions that there are 19 angels appointed as guardians of hell, linking this prime number to a significant spiritual concept. This association links a mathematical concept with a spiritual reality, suggesting a deeper order underlying both the seen and unseen worlds. The number 19, with its prime nature, serves as a bridge between the mathematical and the spiritual realms. The presence of these prime numbers within the Quran's narratives and descriptions invites contemplation. It encourages believers and scholars alike to ponder the significance of these numbers and their deeper meanings. They act as subtle signposts, prompting us to delve deeper into the text and uncover hidden layers of meaning. The prime numbers in the Quran serve as markers, guiding us towards a more profound understanding of the divine message. The Quran, in its intricate weaving of mathematical concepts with spiritual truths, encourages a holistic understanding of the universe. It suggests that the divine wisdom embedded in the text is in harmony with the mathematical order of the cosmos. It suggests that the same divine intelligence responsible for the order of the cosmos is also the source of revelation and guidance for humanity. This interconnectedness between the mathematical and the spiritual realms points to a unified divine source of all knowledge and wisdom. Throughout history, scholars have recognized the significance of numbers in religious texts. Islamic scholars, in particular, have delved into the numerical patterns within the Qur'an, seeking to uncover the divine wisdom encoded within its verses. The study of numerical patterns in the Qur'an is known as Ilm al-Huruf, or the science of letters. This field of study explores the relationship between numbers and letters, revealing the intricate design and structure of the Quranic text. In modern times, advancements in technology have allowed for more detailed analysis of these numerical patterns. Computer algorithms and digital tools have enabled researchers to uncover even more complex relationships between numbers and the Quranic text. These discoveries highlight the mathematical beauty and precision of the Quran. The presence of prime numbers and other numerical patterns within the text serves as a testament to its divine origin and the wisdom it contains. For believers, these numerical patterns are not just mathematical curiosities, they are signs of the divine. They inspire awe and reverence, prompting deeper reflection and meditation on the Quran's message. The significance of prime numbers in the Quran is a reminder of the interconnectedness of all things. It encourages us to seek knowledge and understanding, to explore the mysteries of the universe, and to recognize the divine wisdom that permeates all aspects of existence. In conclusion, the presence of prime numbers in the Quran is a profound example of the harmony between the mathematical and the spiritual. It invites us to appreciate the divine order in the universe and to seek a deeper understanding of the sacred text. The Quran, with its intricate numerical patterns and profound spiritual messages, continues to inspire and guide humanity, revealing the divine wisdom that lies at the heart of all creation. The mind-bending tapestry of numbers in the Quran. In the labyrinthine corridors of human curiosity, where mathematics meets mysticism, the Quran presents itself not merely as a book of divine guidance, but as an enigmatic puzzle woven with the threads of prime numbers and hidden patterns. This sacred text, revered by over 1 billion Muslims, might just hold within its verses a numerical symphony that resonates with the very essence of creation. Imagine, if you will, the Qur'an as not just the word of Allah, but as a cosmic code, where each letter, each word is a note in an infinite melody. Here, the 5 keys of the unseen, knowledge of the hour, reign, what resides in wombs, future provisions and death, are not just theological concepts, but are encoded within the text using prime numbers, those enigmatic integers that bow only to themselves and one. In Surah Luqman 31-34, these keys unfold in a dance of prime numbers. The word for the hour is the 5th from the start and 23rd from the end, a symmetry that binds the beginning and the end of human existence with the indivisibility of primes. This numeral choreography continues with reign, wombs, tomorrow and die, each positioned at prime intervals, whispering secrets of an order beyond our comprehension. But why primes? Perhaps because they are the loneliest of numbers, indivisible, unique, mirroring the oneness of Allah, where knowledge of the unseen is a domain exclusive to Him. The sum of these prime positions, 63, astonishingly matches the age at which Prophet Muhammad passed. A coincidence or a divine signature? Delve deeper into Surah Al-An'am 659, where the phrase keys of the unseen is mentioned, and the numbers continue to play their mind-bending game. Here, the verse itself is the 59th, a prime number encapsulating 31 words prime and 113 letters, also prime. Is this the universe's way of nudging us towards a deeper understanding of the unseen, using the language of mathematics to speak of mysteries? The mystical journey doesn't stop at primes. The very structure of words like Allah and Al-Ghaib sum to the same prime number, 73, in the standard Arabic alphabet, suggesting an intrinsic link between the divine and the concept of the unseen. This numeric symbiosis invites us to ponder. Are we seeing the fingerprints of the divine in the text, or is this our mind's quest for patterns in the infinite? Yet, this isn't just about numbers, it's about what they represent. In the silence between the verses, there's an invitation to reflect on infinity, on the divine order that permeates not just the Qur'an, but all of creation. The patterns beckon us to contemplate how mathematics, the language of the cosmos, might be interwoven with the spiritual guidance of the Qur'an. But tread carefully. This journey into numerology is a double-edged sword. It can illuminate or mislead. The mainstream Islamic scholarship reminds us that while numbers can be a lens to view the Qur'an's depth, they should not eclipse its primary purpose, to guide humanity towards righteousness and understanding of the divine. The risk of overinterpretation looms large, where one might mistake the map for the territory, seeing in numbers what isn't there or missing the forest for the trees. Thus, we stand at the crossroads of science and faith, where the Qur'an becomes not only a book of law, morality and worship, but also a canvas where the divine artist has painted with the brush of primes, inviting us to marvel at the artistry. Here, in this mind-bending essay of numbers, we are reminded that the true miracle of the Qur'an is not solely in its numerological wonders, but in its timeless wisdom, calling us to humility, reflection, and a recognition of our place in the vast, mysterious tapestry of existence. Continuing this journey into the mind-bending tapestry of numbers within the Qur'an, we venture into realms where the rationale meets the ethereal, where the tangible text of the Qur'an seems to whisper secrets through its numeric structure. Consider the concept of symmetry, not just in physical space, but within the sacred verses. The Qur'an, with its lyrical cadence and rhythmic verses, might be seen as a mirror reflecting the divine order. In this mirror, prime numbers act as markers, highlighting pivotal themes. For instance, the symmetry in Surah Luqman, where words like the hour and die mirror each other through prime positions, could be a silent testament to the balance between life's inception and its conclusion, all under the watchful eye of Allah. But there's more to this numeric dance. The Abjad numerals, an ancient system where each letter holds a numeric value, add another layer to this enigma. Here, the name Allah and the term Al-Ghaib share not just a prime sum, but also a deeper linguistic connection, hinting at an intrinsic relationship between the divine and the unseen. This isn't just numerology, It's an invitation to a deeper contemplation, where every letter could be a step in an eternal journey towards understanding. The number 19 emerges from the shadows, not a prime associated with the unseen, but significant in its own right. Some scholars have noted its recurrence in various aspects of the Qur'an, like the word wahid, one, appearing 19 times, suggesting a hidden layer of unity and singularity. Could this be a numeric echo of monotheism, the cornerstone of Islam, woven into the fabric of the text? Yet as we delve deeper, we confront the edge of reason. The patterns we perceive might be the universe's way of playing with our minds, or they might be deliberate signs of the Qur'an's inimitability. Scholars like Ibn Arabi, who explored the esoteric depths of the Qur'an, remind us that while these patterns can be gateways to spiritual insight, they shouldn't become the focus of our faith. The core of Islam remains its teachings, its ethical guidance, its call to submission before the divine. Now, leap into the modern era, where technology allows us to dissect text with unprecedented precision. With algorithms scanning the Qur'an for patterns, we're in a new age of exploration. But what does this mean for the believer? Does it strengthen faith, or does it risk reducing the sacred to mere data points? Here lies the paradox. In seeking to understand the divine through numbers, we must not lose sight of the divine's ineffable nature, which transcends all human comprehension, including mathematics. This numeric quest also touches on the human psyche's innate desire to find order in chaos, to see patterns in randomness. It's a reflection of our longing for meaning, for a sign that there's a designer behind the design. Yet, this journey is fraught with the danger of confirmation bias, where we see what we wish to see, attributing significance where there might be none. In this mind-bending exploration, we find ourselves at a point where numbers are not just figures, but symbols of a higher truth, where each prime number might represent a step closer to the divine, or a reminder of our limitations. But the true miracle, the mind-bending aspect of the Qur'an, isn't just in these numbers. It's in how this text, across centuries, speaks to the human soul, guiding, comforting, challenging us to live beyond the mere material. Thus, this essay of numbers becomes a metaphor for life itself, complex, filled with patterns, yet ultimately pointing towards something greater than the sum of its parts. The Qur'an, through its numeric tapestry, invites us to a dance of intellect and faith, where we are both students and seekers, forever unraveling the mystery of the divine word, always mindful that the ultimate truth lies beyond all human constructs, including numbers. In the grand cosmic puzzle that is the Qur'an, we continue to trace the threads of numbers, now venturing into the realm where they cease to be mere digits and become echoes of the divine symphony. Imagine the Qur'an as a multi-dimensional tapestry, where each thread of text is entwined with others in patterns that transcend the visible. Here, the numbers aren't just markers, but are akin to musical notes, each contributing to a melody that has been playing since the first revelation. The prime numbers we've encountered, like solitary stand watch over the mysteries of the unseen, perhaps a nod to the Qur'an's assertion that Allah is al-Ahad, one, singular in his essence and knowledge. But what of the golden ratio, that universal constant of beauty and balance? While not a prime number, its presence in nature and art suggests an underlying divine proportion. Could the structure of Quranic verses with their numerical patterns also reflect this ratio, embodying a spiritual aesthetics that resonates with the soul's quest for harmony? This isn't to suggest that the Qur'an conforms to human mathematics, but rather that the human mind, in its quest for beauty, finds reflections of divine order in the text. Now, let's wander into the realm of Sufism, where the esoteric meets the numeric. Here, numbers are not just about quantity, but quality, symbolizing spiritual stations on the path to divine love. The number 5, with its keys of the unseen, might parallel the 5 subtleties of the human soul in Sufi thought, each a step closer to the divine essence. This mystical interpretation elevates numbers from mere counting to a means of spiritual ascension, where each prime number could represent an unbreakable link in the chain of divine knowledge. Yet, as we delve into these depths, we must confront the abyss of interpretation. Numerology, when stretched too far, can distort the Qur'an's message, turning seekers into fortune tellers or replacing the pursuit of moral excellence with the quest for hidden codes. The caution from mainstream Islamic scholarship is clear. The Quran's primary function is not to be a numeric enigma, but a guide to righteousness, mercy, and justice. In our digital age, the Quran's numeric patterns become a new frontier. With computational analysis, we can now map these patterns in ways unimaginable to the scholars of yore. Yet this power comes with responsibility. We must ask, are we uncovering divine secrets, or are we imposing our desire for patterns onto the text? This question challenges us to remain humble, to remember that while numbers can be a lens, the true essence of the Quran is beyond all human measurement. There's also the matter of cultural interpretation. Across the Muslim world, the approach to these numeric patterns varies. Some see them as part of the Quran's miraculous nature, while others view them as curiosities, not central to faith. This diversity in understanding reflects Islam's global tapestry, where the same text is read through different cultural lenses, each adding to the richness of interpretation, but also highlighting the need for a unifying focus on the Quran's moral and spiritual messages. Finally, we come full circle to the idea that these numbers are not the end, but the means. They are signposts, perhaps directing us back to the core teachings of Islam, the oneness of Allah, the prophethood of Muhammad, the accountability on the Day of Judgment, and the imperative to live a life of faith, prayer, charity, fasting, and pilgrimage. Here, in the heart of these teachings, the numbers fade away, and what remains is the timeless guidance for humanity, a guidance that speaks to the heart, not just to the mind. In this mind-bending exploration, we are reminded that while numbers can illuminate, they can also blind. They are part of the Quran's infinite depth, but the true miracle, the one that bends minds and opens hearts, is the Quran's ability to speak to every age, every individual, in a language of truth that transcends all numbers, all patterns, touching the very soul of what it means to be human and to seek the divine. As we continue this odyssey through the numeric landscape of the Quran, we delve into a realm where the boundaries of logic and spirituality blur, where numbers become not just symbols, but portals to deeper understanding. Consider the concept of infinity, a notion that resonates deeply with the Islamic view of Allah's attributes, His knowledge, His mercy, His creation. Prime numbers, with their endless sequence, might serve as a metaphor for divine infinity, an invitation to reflect on the boundless nature of Allah's wisdom. Each prime, unique and indivisible, could represent the distinctiveness of divine signs in the Quran, urging us to ponder the immeasurable vastness of Allah's dominion. But let us not forget the power of zero, an invention of the Eastern mind, pivotal in mathematics, yet absent in the Quran's numeric patterns. Zero, in its nothingness, symbolizes the humility required before the divine, a reminder that all human knowledge, all our numeric explorations are but a drop in the ocean of the unseen. This concept of zero, of nothingness, might also echo the Islamic teaching of fana in Sufism, the annihilation of the ego before the divine presence, where all numbers, all knowledge dissolve into the unity of Allah. Now, let's explore the concept of fractals, patterns that repeat at every scale. The Quran, with its layers of meaning, could be likened to a fractal. Just as one can zoom into a fractal and find ever more complexity, so too can one delve into the Quran, finding new insights with each reading. The numeric patterns might be one such scale in this infinite zoom, each prime number a node in this vast, self-similar network of divine revelation. This leads us to consider the human mind's pattern recognition capabilities, an evolutionary trait that has allowed us to survive and thrive. In this light, finding numeric patterns in the Quran could be seen as our brain's attempt to grasp the divine order, to make sense of the sacred through the profane. However, this inclination can lead to the creation of patterns where none exist, a psychological phenomenon known as apophenia. Here the challenge lies in distinguishing between divine signs and human projections. The journey into Quranic numerology also intersects with the broader human fascination with codes and secrets. From the Voynich manuscript to the enigmatic Kryptos sculpture, humanity has always sought hidden knowledge. In this context, the Quran's numeric patterns could be seen as part of our perennial quest for esotericism, but with a crucial difference. The Quran's message is fundamentally exoteric, meant for all humanity, not just the initiated. In our modern quest, we must also consider the ethical implications of reducing the Quran to numbers. There's a danger of commodifying the sacred, of turning divine revelation into a mathematical problem to be solved rather than wisdom to be lived. The Quran warns against such superficial engagement, urging us towards tafakkur, deep reflection, rather than mere tafsir, interpretation. Moreover, these patterns challenge us to think about the nature of miracles in Islam. The Quran's miraculous nature is not confined to numerology. It encompasses its linguistic inimitability, its historical preservation, its moral guidance, and its capacity to remain relevant across centuries. If we focus too narrowly on numbers, we might miss the broader, more profound miracles of the Quran. This exploration, then, isn't just about numbers. It's about the human condition, our quest for meaning, our struggle to understand the divine through the only tools we have, our minds and hearts. It's an acknowledgement that while we can dissect, analyze, and marvel at the Quran's numeric structure, the true essence of this revelation remains beyond all human measurement, a mystery that invites us not to solve but to surrender to live by, to love. In this mind-bending odyssey, we're reminded that the Quran is not a puzzle to be completed, but a journey to be undertaken. A journey where numbers are but one of many languages in which the divine speaks to us, urging us towards a life of piety, reflection, and ultimately towards the recognition of our place in the infinite tapestry of existence. As we further unravel the numeric enigma of the Quran, we step into a dimension where numbers transcend their arithmetic value, becoming metaphors for the divine narrative. Let's ponder the idea of balance, a principle deeply embedded in Islamic theology. The numeric patterns we've explored might be seen as a manifestation of this balance, the equilibrium between the seen and the unseen, the temporal and the eternal. Just as the Quran speaks of justice and fairness, these patterns could be viewed as a celestial scale, where each prime or sequence acts as a counterweight to human understanding, reminding us of the balance in Allah's creation and His justice. The concept of time also plays into this numeric exploration. In Islamic cosmology, time is not linear but cyclical, with events like the Day of Judgment echoing back to the beginning of creation. The recurrence of prime numbers might symbolize this cyclicity, where each prime is a moment in the eternal return of divine signs, urging us to see beyond the immediate into the continuous cycle of life, death, and resurrection. Consider also the role of silence in this numeric symphony. The spaces between numbers, the unwritten, could be as significant as the written. These silences might represent the moments of contemplation, the pauses that invite reflection, akin to the silent gaps in dhikr, remembrance of Allah, where one's heart listens for the divine whisper. Here, the absence of numbers could be as telling as their presence, teaching us the value of listening to the Quran with both mind and heart. The numeric patterns can also be seen through the lens of Islamic art, where geometry and repetition are not just aesthetic choices, but spiritual ones. The intricate geometric designs found in mosques or on Islamic manuscripts might find their echo in the numeric patterns of the Quran, both serving as visual and conceptual representations of divine order, beauty, and infinity. But this journey into numbers also poses philosophical questions about determinism and free will. If the Quran contains such precise numeric structures, does this imply a deterministic view of the world where every event, every word is preordained? Or do these patterns serve to highlight the human agency within the framework of divine will, where we are meant to find meaning, make choices, and seek closeness to Allah amidst the preordained signs? Moreover, the exploration of numbers in the Quran invites us to consider the nature of language itself. If the Quran is seen as a divine language, then numbers could be part of its syntax, a syntax that speaks not just to the intellect, but to the soul. This language transcends human speech, where every number, every prime, is a word in the divine discourse, inviting us to learn this language of the cosmos. However, we must remain vigilant against the allure of mysticism that could lead to misinterpretation. The Qur'an's numeric patterns should not become a new form of divination or lead to the creation of sects based on esoteric knowledge. Instead, they should guide us back to the text's core message: submission to Allah, moral conduct, and preparation for the hereafter. In this mind-bending journey, we're reminded that while numbers can captivate, they are but one aspect of the Qur'an's infinite depth. The true miracle lies not in solving numeric puzzles, but in living the Qur'an's teachings, in finding peace in its recitation, and in striving for the moral and spiritual excellence it prescribes. Thus, we conclude not with answers, but with questions, with an invitation to a lifelong exploration where numbers are not the destination, but waypoints, markers on the path to understanding the divine. In this dance of digits, we are reminded that the ultimate truth, the essence of the Qur'an, is a mystery wrapped in silence, inviting us not to solve it, but to live within its grace, its guidance, and its timeless wisdom. Overview of numeric patterns. The Qur'an has been subject to various numeric analyses, some of which highlight patterns that are thought to reflect its divine origin or miraculous nature. Here are some key numeric patterns. Prime numbers and the unseen. 5 keys of the unseen. These are knowledge of the hour, sending down of rain, knowing what is in the wombs, provisions and earnings of the future death. These concepts are found in Surah Luqman 31, 34, where the positions of the words corresponding to these 5 keys align with prime numbers. Ilaswa Adi, the hour, 5th from start, 23rd from end, both primes. Ilgaitha, rain, 7th from start, prime. Lahami, the wombs, 11th from start, 17th from end, both primes. Gardan, tomorrow, 17th from start, 11th from end, both primes. Tamutu, die, 23rd from start, 5th from end, both primes. The sum of these positions, 5 plus 7 plus 11 plus 17 plus 23, is 63, which is the age at which Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, died. Surah Al-An'am 659. This verse mentions keys of the unseen and has its own numeric patterns. The verse itself is number 59, prime. It contains 31 words prime and 113 letters prime. The word al-Ghaibi, the unseen, is the 3rd word from the start and 29th from the end, both primes. Alphabetic order and numeric value. Sum of letters in words, Allah, LLH, in standard Arabic alphabet order sums to 73, a prime number. 1 plus 23 plus 23 plus 26. Al-Ghaib, Al-Jib, also sums to 73, 1 plus 23 plus 19 plus 28 plus 2, linking the concept of the unseen with the divine name. Other notable numeric patterns, the number 19, often cited for its significance, especially in relation to Surah 74, Al-Qur'an. Some claim that various elements of the Qur'an, like the number of words or the structure of certain verses, are divisible by 19. The word Wahid, 1, appears 19 times, symbolizing the oneness of Allah. Count of words and letters, certain words like prayers, Slukna, appear exactly 5 times, mirroring the 5 daily prayers in Islam. The words for day, singular, YWM, and month, or shur, appear 365 and 12 times respectively, corresponding to the calendar. Interpretation and caution, symbolism. These patterns might be seen as symbolic of divine order, uniqueness, or the miraculous nature of the Qur'an, aligning with the concept of Tawheed, oneness of Allah. Caution. Islamic scholars often caution against overemphasizing numeric patterns, as they should not overshadow the Qur'an's primary purpose of guidance. Numeric patterns are intriguing, but should be seen as secondary to the moral, legal, and spiritual teachings of the text. Numerology versus scholarship. While numerology can provide a unique lens for engaging with the text, mainstream Islamic scholarship focuses on tafsir, interpretation, based on linguistic, historical, and contextual analysis rather than purely numeric patterns. Conclusion. While numeric patterns in the Qur'an can be fascinating and might deepen one's appreciation for its complexity, they should be approached with an understanding that they are one aspect of engaging with this sacred text. The true essence of the Qur'an lies in its guidance, teachings, and the spiritual journey it inspires, not solely in the marvel of its numeric structure. Prime numbers in the Qur'an definition. A prime number is a natural number greater than one that has no positive divisors other than one and itself. The significance of primes in the Quran is often linked to their indivisibility, symbolizing the uniqueness and singularity of divine knowledge or aspects of creation. Key examples: Surah Luqman 31-34, verse and surah. This surah is the 31st in the Quran, prime. 5 keys of the unseen, Laswaati, the hour, 5th word from the beginning and 23rd from the end, both primes. Al-Gaitha, rain, 7th word from the start, prime. Lahami, the wombs, 11th from the start, 17th from the end, both primes. Gadan, tomorrow, 17th from the start, 11th from the end, both primes. Tamutu, die, 23rd from the start, 5th from the end, both primes. Sum of positions, the sum of these keyword positions, 5 plus 7 plus 11 plus 17 plus 23, equals 63, which is not prime, but notably matches the age at which Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, passed away. Surah Al-An'am, 659, verse number 59, prime. Composition contains 31 words, prime. Has 113 letters, prime. Word Lagaibi, the unseen. 3rd word from the start, prime. 29th word from the end, prime. Alphabetic order and prime numbers, Allah, LH. The sum of the positions of the letters in the Arabic alphabet, number 1, LA23, L23, H26, equals 73, prime. Al-Gaib, Al-Gib. Similarly, the sum of the letter positions, number 1, LA23, G19, Y28, B2, also equals 73, prime, establishing a numeric link between the name of Allah and the concept of the unseen. Structural miracles. Some argue that the structure of certain surahs or the count of specific words like Allah or Al-Ghaib in particular contexts are also governed by prime numbers, suggesting an intentional divine pattern. Interpretation and significance. Symbolism. Prime numbers could symbolize the oneness of Allah, Tawheed, the indivisibility of his knowledge and his unique attributes. They represent purity and singularity, which might parallel the Islamic concept of Allah's unity. Miraculous nature. The presence of primes in key positions or counts is often cited as part of the Quran's miraculous nature, its inimitability, Abjad al-Quran. Invitation to reflection. These patterns might encourage believers to reflect on the Quran's depth, fostering contemplation about the infinite and mysterious aspects of divine knowledge. Cautions. Overinterpretation. There's a risk of overinterpreting these patterns, seeing significance where there might be none. Islamic scholarship typically advises against making numerology a central method of Quranic interpretation. Focus on guidance. The primary message of the Quran is guidance, not numerological puzzles. While numeric patterns can be fascinating, they should not detract from the ethical, moral, and spiritual teachings. Scholarly consensus. There isn't a unanimous scholarly acceptance of these patterns as intentional or significant. Many consider them as coincidental, or one among many ways to appreciate the Quran's complexity. Conclusion. The exploration of prime numbers within the Quran opens a doorway to a unique appreciation of its text, offering a mathematical dimension to its miraculous nature. However, this should be balanced with the understanding that the Quran's primary function is to guide humanity towards righteousness, knowledge of Allah, and spiritual reflection. Further exploration of prime numbers. Historical context, numerology in Islamic tradition. While numerology, including the study of primes, has been present in Islamic thought, particularly in esoteric interpretations like those by Sufi scholars, it's not central to mainstream Islamic theology. Scholars like Al-Kindi engaged in numerology, but always with an emphasis on not contradicting established Islamic teachings. Prime numbers and divine attributes, uniqueness. Prime numbers with their unique divisibility might be seen as a metaphor for the attributes of Allah, like His oneness, His indivisibility, and His exclusive knowledge of the unseen. Divine order. The recurring use of primes could suggest a divine order in the universe and in Revelation, where everything is in perfect harmony under Allah's control. Specific examples of primes. Surah structure. Some surahs or verses might be noted for their prime number of ayat, verses, or the prime number of letters or words, although this is not uniformly applied across the Quran. Repetition of keywords. The frequency of certain key terms like Rahman, the most merciful, or Rahim, the most compassionate, might align with prime numbers in some instances, though this is less documented and more speculative. Prime numbers in broader Islamic thought, mathematical contributions. Islamic scholars have made significant contributions to mathematics, including number theory, where primes are fundamental. This historical engagement with mathematics might reflect back on how Muslims perceive numeric patterns in the Qur'an. Philosophical reflection. The study of primes can inspire philosophical reflections on infinity, the mystery of creation, and the human capacity to understand only a fraction of Allah's knowledge. Educational and scholastic use. Engagement tool. In modern contexts, these patterns can serve as an educational tool to engage students with the Qur'an, fostering an appreciation for its complexity beyond the literal meanings. Academic research. Scholars might analyze these patterns to understand more about the Quranic text's structure, rhythm, and memorability from a literary or linguistic perspective. The role of primes in spiritual practice, meditation, and reflection. For some, meditating on these numeric patterns can be part of spiritual practice, a form of dhikr, remembrance, where one reflects on the signs of Allah in different ways. Encouraging humility, the exploration of prime numbers can remind believers of their limitations, fostering humility before the infinite wisdom of Allah. Challenges and criticisms, confirmation. Bias. There's a risk of seeing patterns where none exist, leading to confirmation bias where believers might seek to find deeper meaning through numbers. Distraction from core teachings. Overemphasizing numerology could distract from the Qur'an's core messages about faith, morality, and social justice. Need for balance. There's a need to balance this numerological interest with traditional exegesis, tafsir, that focuses on the Qur'an's linguistic, legal, and ethical guidance. Conclusion. Prime numbers in the Qur'an might be seen as a testament to the text's depth, inviting believers into a dance of intellect and faith. However, the true miracle of the Qur'an isn't just in its numeric patterns, but in its ability to speak to every generation, providing guidance, comfort, and law. While primes offer a fascinating lens, they are but one aspect of the Qur'an's multifaceted nature, encouraging us to explore, but always to return to the heart of the revelation. The message of submission to Allah, the call to righteousness, and the promise of mercy and justice. Your exploration of the numerical connections within the Qur'an, particularly related to the concept of al-ghaib, the unseen, showcases an intricate analysis of how specific verses and their word placements might relate to prime numbers. Here's a summary of your points. The 5 keys of the unseen. The Qur'an mentions 5 aspects of the unseen known only to Allah. Knowledge of the hour, the sending down of rain, what is in the wombs, provisions and earnings of the future, and death. These are encapsulated in Surah Luqman 31-34, which notably is the 31st surah, itself a prime number. Prime numbers and their significance. Prime numbers, which are divisible only by 1 and themselves, are suggested to reflect the exclusivity of Allah's knowledge of the unseen. You've noted the positions of key words in verses corresponding to prime numbers. Numerical analysis of verses. In Surah Luqman, the words relating to the 5 keys are placed at positions that are prime numbers, 5, 7, 11, 17 and 23, from either the beginning or the end of the verse. The sum of these numbers, 63, coincidentally matches the age at which Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, passed away. Mention of keys of the unseen in Surah Al-An'am. You've pointed out Surah Al-An'am 659, where keys of the unseen is explicitly mentioned, with the verse number itself being a prime 59. The word al-ghaiba in this verse also corresponds to prime numbers in its position from the start and end. Alphabetic orders and prime numbers. The sum of the alphabetical orders of the letters in Mafati al-Ghaibi, Mafatihul Ghaibi, equals 127, a prime number whose position in the sequence of primes leads back to 5, linking back to the 5 keys. Repetition of letters. The repetition of the letters in both the name of Allah, LH, and Al-Ghaib, El-Jib, in Surah Luqman 34 sums to 43, a prime number. Further numerical correspondences, the sum of the alphabetical orders of letters in Al-Ghaib and Allah both equal 73, another prime number, reinforcing the theme of exclusivity in knowledge. Your analysis illustrates an attempt to find deeper meanings in the structure and text of the Qur'an through numerology, suggesting a divine signature through prime numbers. However, it's important to note that these interpretations are speculative and not universally accepted among Islamic scholars. The traditional interpretation focuses more on the theological and moral guidance from the verses rather than their numeric composition. While these numerical patterns can be intriguing for contemplation, they should be considered as one among many ways believers might find additional layers of meaning or appreciation in the Qur'an, always keeping in mind that the primary message of the Qur'an lies in its guidance, not in numerological interpretations. Here is an elaboration on the numerical calculations and the verses related to Al-Ghaib, the unseen, focusing on why these numbers might be significant. Surah Luqman 31-34, verse text. Inwa lwaha indahu ilmu lswa adi wayunazwilu lgaitha wayalamu ma fi lahami wamatadri nafsun mada taksibu gadan wamatadri nafsun bi'aywi ardin tamutu inwa lwaha alimun kabirun. Translation. Indeed, Allah alone has knowledge of the hour and sends down the rain and knows what is in the wombs. And no soul perceives what it will earn tomorrow, and no soul perceives in what land it will die. Indeed, Allah is knowing and acquainted. Numerical observations. Surah, number 31, a prime number. Verse number 34, not prime, but the content is significant. Word position analysis. Liswa adi, the hour. Fifth word from the start, prime. 23rd word from the end, prime. Al-Gaitha, rain. 7th from the start, prime. Lahami, the wombs. 11th from the start, prime. 17th from the end, prime. Gadan, tomorrow. 17th from the start, prime. 11th from the end, prime. Tamutu, die. 23rd from the start, prime. 5th from the end, prime. Sum of keywords positions. 5 plus 7 plus 11 plus 17 plus 23 equals 63. The age at which Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, died. Letter frequency in verse 34. The letters of Allah, LH, appear 43 times, a prime number. The letters of Al-Ghaib, Al-Gib, also appear 43 times. Why prime numbers? Prime numbers are indivisible by any number other than one and themselves, symbolizing the uniqueness and exclusivity of Allah's knowledge of the unseen. This might be seen as a metaphor for how only Allah has access to this knowledge, just as prime numbers are self-contained in their divisibility. Surah Al-An'am 659, verse text. وَإِنْدَهُ مَفَاتِحُ الْغَيْبِ لَا يَعْلَمُهَا إِلَّا هُوَ وَيَعْلَمُ مَا فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ وَمَا تَسْقُطُ مِنْ وَرَقَةٍ إِلَّا يَعْلَمُهَا وَلَا حَبَّةٍ فِي ظُلُمَاتِ الْأَرْضِ وَلَا رَطْبٍ وَلَا يَابِسٍ إِلَّا فِي كِتَابٍ مُبِينٍ. Translation. And with him are the keys of the unseen. None knows them except him. And he knows what is on the land and in the sea. Not a leaf falls but that he knows it. And no grain is there within the darknesses of the earth, and no moist or dry thing but that it is written in a clear record. Numerical observations. Surah, number 6. Not prime, but the verse number is significant. Verse number 59, prime. Position of key words, Al-Ghaibi, the unseen. Third word from the start, prime. 29th word from the end, prime. Verse composition. The verse contains 113 letters, prime. It has 31 words, prime, matching Surah Luqman's number. Alphabetic order, sum, Mafatihul Ghaibi, keys of the unseen. Sum of letters, positions, MH24, FA20, number 1, T33, HA6, L23, GH19, Y28, BA2, equal sign 127, prime. 127 is the 31st prime number linking back to Surah Luqman. Why prime numbers? The use of prime numbers here might be seen as a sign of the Qur'an's miraculous nature, suggesting that the knowledge of the unseen, like prime numbers, is a unique domain known only to Allah. Conclusion. The emphasis on prime numbers could be interpreted as an invitation to reflect on the singularity and indivisibility of Allah's knowledge, paralleling the nature of prime numbers. This numeric pattern might not be meant for scientific or mathematical proof, but rather for contemplation, drawing believers closer to the divine mystery and the concept of al-ghaib. However, these interpretations are speculative and not part of mainstream Islamic scholarship, which focuses more on the literal and moral teachings of the verses. The numerical patterns could be seen as one of the many ways the Qur'an might be appreciated, but they should not overshadow the primary guidance the text offers. Continuing with the exploration of numerical patterns and their significance. Further numerical analysis, alphabetic orders and their sums, LH, Allah, sum of letters positions, number 1, LA23, LA23, H26, equal sign 73, prime, Al-Jib, Al-Gaib, sum of letters positions, number 1, 23, J13.28b2, equal sign 73, prime. This recurrence of 73 as a prime number in both Allah and Al-Gaib might be seen as a symbolic link between the name of the divine and the concept of the unseen, emphasizing that all knowledge of the unseen belongs to Allah alone. Prime number sequence is the sequence of primes where 5, 11, 17, 23 and 31 appear and their relationships. 5 is the third prime number. 11 is the fifth prime number. 17 is the seventh prime number. 23 is the ninth prime number. 31 is the 11th prime number. Notice how each key number from Surah Luqman, 5, 11, 17, 23, corresponds to an odd position in the sequence of primes, possibly alluding to the odd, unique or individual nature of these aspects of the unseen. The concept of primality in Islamic context. The nature of prime numbers, only divisible by one and themselves, could be metaphorically linked to the oneness of Allah in Islamic theology, Tawheed, where Allah is unique and indivisible in his essence, attributes and acts. Additional reflections, the 5 keys of the unseen in relation to the number 5. This might be seen as an echo of the importance of the number 5 in Islam, like the 5 pillars, suggesting a harmony or divine order in the structure of the universe and revelation. The prime number 31, Surah Luqman's number, 31 being prime, and its connection to verse 34, where the keys are mentioned, might emphasize the miraculous nature of the Qur'an. The fact that this surah is named after Luqman, who is known for his wisdom, could parallel the wisdom in understanding the unseen. The number 43, prime. The repetition of the letters of both Allah and Al-Gaib 43 times in the verse from Surah Luqman might be viewed as a sign of the intimate connection between the divine name and the concept of the unseen, reinforcing that only Allah knows these mysteries. Why these patterns might be significant, miraculous nature of the Qur'an. These patterns could be seen by some as evidence of the Qur'an's miraculous nature, where the text itself contains layers of meaning and structure that could not be humanly contrived, aligning with the belief that the Qur'an is the literal word of God. Invitation to contemplation. The patterns invite believers to ponder over the Qur'an's text beyond its surface, engaging in a form of spiritual and intellectual reflection that is encouraged in Islam. Symbolic representation. The use of prime numbers could symbolize purity, singularity, and the divine nature of knowledge, much like how prime numbers stand alone in their divisibility. However, it's crucial to acknowledge interpretation risks. Such numerological interpretations can lead to misinterpretations if taken out of context or given undue emphasis over the Qur'an's explicit teachings. Not universally accepted. Traditional Islamic scholarship might not endorse these numerical analyses as a primary method of understanding the Qur'an, focusing instead on the text's meanings, moral lessons, and legal directives. This exploration into numbers and the Qur'an is fascinating for those inclined towards numerology or seeking additional layers of meaning, but one should approach it with caution and not let it overshadow the primary purpose of the Qur'an as guidance for life and spirituality. Let's delve into more specific numeric patterns and their potential implications within the Quranic text. Additional numerical insights, position of words in relation to prime numbers. In the verses we've discussed, not only are the positions of key words prime in some instances, but the structure of how these words relate to each other might be seen as significant. Position symmetry, the symmetry in the placement of words like ilswa adi, the hour, and tamutu, die, in verse 34 of Surah Luqman, both being the fifth from opposite ends, could suggest a balance or completeness in Allah's knowledge over life and death, beginnings and endings. Count of letters and words. Surah Al-An'am 659. The verse has 31 words, which is a prime number and matches the number of Surah Luqman. This could be interpreted as a thematic linkage between the verses speaking of the unseen. The count of 113 letters in Al-An'am 659 is also a prime number, potentially emphasizing the indivisibility of Allah's knowledge. Thematic connections, the 5 pillars and 5 keys. The 5 keys of the unseen might be drawn into a parallel with the 5 pillars of Islam, suggesting an underlying structure of 5 in Islamic theology that encompasses both the seen, actions of faith, and the unseen, divine knowledge. Prime number patterns and divine knowledge. Prime numbers as a symbol. Prime numbers are enigmatic and have been the subject of much mathematical study. Their use here might be seen as symbolic of how Allah's knowledge is beyond human comprehension, much like prime numbers are beyond simple factorization. Prime number distribution. The distribution of prime numbers among natural numbers is unpredictable, which might parallel how Allah's knowledge and decisions are beyond human prediction or control. Thematic and structural mirroring. Mirroring of concepts. The mirroring of prime numbers in the positions of words could reflect the mirror-like nature of divine justice, where every action has a corresponding consequence known only to Allah. Structural miracles. Some might see this as part of the Qur'an's structural miracles, where the text itself contains patterns that are not just linguistic but also numeric, suggesting layers of meaning that enrich spiritual understanding. Mathematical harmonies, the sum of 63. The coincidence of 63, the sum of the prime numbers in the positions of the 5 keys, with the age of Prophet Muhammad at his death, could be seen by some as a divine signature, linking the life of the Prophet with the knowledge of the unseen as a testament to his role in conveying divine revelation. Prime numbers in other contexts. Throughout the Qur'an, other numbers might also be examined for their primality or relation to primes, like the number of verses in certain surahs or the mention of numbers in other contexts. For example, 7 heavens, 19 angels in charge of hell, etc. But the focus here is on the unseen. Caveats and considerations. Interpretative caution. While these numerical patterns can be intriguing, they should not be used to derive new theological principles or override the clear meanings of the Quranic text. They are supplementary at best. Scholarly perspective. Traditional Islamic scholarship primarily focuses on the meaning of the text, not numerological interpretations. These should be seen as an additional layer of potential appreciation rather than core to understanding the Qur'an. Human interpretation. Every interpretation, including numerical analysis, is human and thus subject to error or bias. It's important to maintain the Qur'an's teachings in their intended context. This exploration into the numeric aspects of Quranic verses is indeed thought-provoking, but should be approached with a balanced understanding of Islamic theology and hermeneutics. Let's further explore how numerical patterns might intertwine with the Qur'an's message and structure. Further numeric relationships, gematria, and Abjad numerals. The Arabic alphabetic numerical system Abjad assigns numeric values to letters, which some use to find deeper meanings or connections in the Qur'an. For instance, the word Allah, LLH in Abjad, sums to 66, number 1, number 30, LE30, ancient of 5. But as noted earlier, when considering the standard Arabic alphabetical order, it sums to 73, a prime number. Al-Ghaib, Il-Gib in Abjad would be 92, number 1, LA30, GO1000, YT10, BC2, but again, using the standard order, it also sums to 73, reinforcing the pattern. The number 19, although not directly related to the keys of the unseen, the number 19 has been noted by some scholars for its significance in the Qur'an. For instance, the word Wahid, one, appears 19 times, and some have suggested that chapter 74, Al-Mudathir, has features divisible by 19, which they interpret as a numerical miracle. This might tie into the concept of prime numbers, as 19 is prime, symbolizing singularity and uniqueness, symmetry in surah structures. Verse. Symmetry. Some have observed that certain surahs have symmetrical structures where the middle verse or word can be pivotal, often related to a key theme or divine attribute. This isn't always directly linked to primes, but could be part of a broader structural miracle. Symmetry and prime numbers. If one finds symmetrical elements in verses or surahs where prime numbers are involved, it could be seen as enhancing the thematic focus. For example, if a central verse in a surah with a prime number of verses speaks of one of the 5 keys of the unseen, it might be viewed as emphasizing that concept's centrality. Divine proportions. The golden ratio. While not prime, the golden ratio appears in nature and art, symbolizing perfection and balance. Some might argue that the Qur'an's structure, including its numerical patterns, reflects a divine aesthetic or balance, although this is speculative. Additional considerations: numeric coincidences. With any text, especially one as revered and studied as the Qur'an, coincidences in numerology are bound to occur. It's vital to distinguish between meaningful patterns and those that arise by chance. Cultural context. Numerology has been part of various cultures, and its application to sacred texts is not unique to Islam. However, in Islamic scholarship, the literal and moral interpretations are paramount. Theological implications. While numbers can be fascinating, they don't alter the fundamental theological messages of the Qur'an. The emphasis on the unseen is to highlight human limitations in knowledge and to encourage reliance on and trust in Allah. Reflective questions. Why prime numbers? If one accepts these patterns as significant, they might reflect the Qur'an's invitation to ponder upon Allah's creation and the infinite aspects of knowledge only He possesses. Purpose of numerology. Is it to amaze or to engage believers in deeper contemplation of divine attributes and the intricacies of revelation? Concluding thoughts. These numeric observations can be a catalyst for spiritual reflection, emphasizing the Qur'an's role as a guide for those who ponder. However, they should not overshadow the Qur'an's primary purpose of moral guidance and spiritual direction. The study of such patterns can be a means to appreciate the text's complexity, but it should always be grounded in the understanding that the Qur'an's miraculous nature is also in its timeless, clear guidance for humanity. Let's delve deeper into the implications and contexts of these numerical patterns in the Qur'an. Numerology and Quranic interpretation. Historical context. Numerology in Islamic tradition. Historically, Islamic scholars like Al-Kindi used numerology, ilm al-Jafar, for prediction or interpretation, though this was more esoteric than mainstream. The mainstream Islamic tradition focuses on the exoteric, zahir meanings of the text rather than the esoteric batin ones like numerology. Sufi interpretations. In Sufism, there's sometimes an interest in finding hidden meanings through numerology, seeing it as part of the mystical journey towards understanding divine unity and mysteries. Prime numbers and divine attributes. Uniqueness. Prime numbers, being divisible only by themselves and one, can be metaphorically linked to the concept of Tawheed, oneness of Allah. This uniqueness might reflect the indivisibility of Allah's essence and knowledge. Infinity. The sequence of prime numbers never ends, paralleling the infinite aspects of Allah's knowledge and the universe, encouraging contemplation on the infinite nature of the divine. Structural miracles of the Qur'an, rhythm and symmetry. Beyond numbers, the Qur'an's literary structure, with its rhyme, rhythm and symmetry, is often cited as part of its miraculous nature. Numerical patterns could be seen as another layer of this structure. Miraculous coincidences. Some might view these numeric patterns as divinely intended coincidences that point to the Qur'an's inimitability, ijaz al-Qur'an. Thematic numeric connections, 5 senses and 5 keys. The 5 senses in human beings might be paralleled with the 5 keys of the unseen, suggesting a balance between the observable world and the unseen realm, both under divine control. 7 heavens, 7 earths. The number 7, frequently mentioned in the Qur'an, for example, 7 heavens, 7 earths, isn't prime but might be linked with prime patterns to emphasize divine order or completeness. Challenges and criticisms. Overinterpretation. There's a risk of overinterpreting numbers to find patterns where none were intended, leading to a form of confirmation bias. Distraction from primary messages. Focusing too much on numerology might distract from the Quran's primary messages of guidance, ethics, and worship. Lack of scholarly consensus. There's no unanimous scholarly agreement on the significance of these patterns, and some might argue they're not essential to faith or understanding the Quran. Modern perspectives, mathematical interest. In modern times, with the advent of computational tools, researchers might analyze the Quran for numeric patterns as part of broader text analysis, but this is more for academic curiosity than religious interpretation. Interfaith dialogue. These patterns could be used in discussions about the Quran's complexity, drawing parallels with similar phenomena in other religious texts or philosophies. Application for reflection, personal spiritual growth. For individuals, these patterns can be a personal means of engaging with the text, fostering a deeper sense of awe and wonder at the intricacy of divine revelation. Community education. They can be part of educational programs or discussions within the community to explore the multifaceted nature of the Quran, always keeping the ethical and spiritual teachings at the forefront. Final thoughts. The exploration of numerical patterns should be done with humility, acknowledging that while they might be intriguing, they are not the essence of the Quran. They serve as one of many ways to appreciate the text's depth, but the central message remains the guidance towards righteousness and the worship of Allah. Any interpretation should be approached with caution, ensuring it aligns with the broader Islamic principles and does not lead to innovations, bid'ah, in faith or practice. Let's continue to explore how numerology might intersect with the Quranic text, focusing on its implications and the broader context of Islamic scholarship. Implications of numeric patterns, mystical and philosophical. Reflections, divine order. The existence of patterns might be seen as a sign of the divine order in creation. Just as the universe follows laws of physics, the Quran might be seen to follow mathematical laws set by Allah, reflecting the harmony in His creation. The infinite, the study of prime numbers which go on infinitely, can remind believers of the infinite nature of Allah's knowledge and the endless depth of His signs in the Quran. Comparative religious studies, similar patterns in other scriptures. Numerological significance isn't unique to Islam. Similar patterns are sought in Jewish Kabbalah, Christian Bible codes, etc. This might open avenues for interfaith discussions on the commonalities in seeking deeper meanings in sacred texts. Universal themes. The fascination with numbers might reflect a universal human trait to find order and meaning, suggesting that while the specifics are tied to each religion, the impulse to seek out these patterns is part of human spirituality. Islamic scholarship's approach. Mainstream caution. Mainstream scholars often caution against over-reliance on numerology, emphasizing that the Quran's primary purpose is to provide guidance, hidayah, not to be a puzzle of numbers to solve. Historical examples. Scholars like Ibn Arabi have engaged with esoteric interpretations, but they were careful to distinguish between what was metaphorical or symbolic and what was foundational to faith. Educational and scholastic use. Teaching tools. Scholars or educators might use these numeric patterns as teaching aids to engage students with the text, encouraging them to think about the Quran's miraculous aspects in a broader sense. Academic research. In an academic setting, these patterns can be studied from a literary or linguistic perspective, exploring how they might influence the rhythm, memory, and recitation of the Quran. Spiritual and moral guidance. Humility before the divine. Recognizing that even if there are patterns, they're part of a mystery beyond full human comprehension, can foster humility and submission to Allah's wisdom. Focus on core teachings. Any numerological study should reinforce, not detract from, the core teachings of Islam, such as the oneness of Allah, the prophethood of Muhammad, and the Day of Judgment. Potential misuse, misdirection, and overemphasis on numerology might lead some to seek signs where there are none, potentially leading to superstition or misguidance away from the Quran's moral and spiritual messages. Exclusivism. Some might claim exclusive knowledge or interpretation based on numerology, which can lead to sectarianism or elitism within the faith. Reflection on modern times. Digital age. In the age of digital tools, pattern recognition in texts like the Quran can be facilitated by software leading to new ways of engaging with the text, but also new challenges in ensuring interpretations remain grounded in traditional exegesis. Global Muslim community. With the global Muslim Ummah, different cultural backgrounds interact with these patterns differently, leading to a rich tapestry of interpretations, each valuable in its context, but always needing to align with the core of Islamic teachings. Concluding thoughts. While numerology offers an intriguing layer of interpretation, it should always be approached with the understanding that the Qur'an's primary function is not to reveal numerical secrets, but to guide humanity towards truth, justice, and submission to Allah. The exploration of numbers can be part of a broader spiritual journey, encouraging believers to appreciate the Qur'an's multifaceted nature while never losing sight of its fundamental purpose. Here are the key points from our discussion on numerology and the Qur'an. Theological and numerical connections. 5 keys of the unseen. The Qur'an mentions 5 aspects of the unseen known only to Allah, paralleling the significance of the number 5 in Islam, for example, 5 pillars. Prime numbers. Prime numbers in the Qur'an might symbolize the uniqueness and indivisibility of Allah's knowledge, reflecting the concept of Tawhid, oneness of Allah. Symmetrical patterns. The positions of key words related to the unseen often correspond to prime numbers, suggesting a divine structure or balance. Specific examples. Surah Luqman 31-34. The verse mentioning the keys of the unseen has words positioned at prime numbers, with the sum of these positions equaling 63, the age of Prophet Muhammad at his death. Surah Al-An'am 659 contains the phrase keys of the unseen with numbers of words, letters, and positions linked to prime numbers. Numerical analysis. Alphabetic orders. The sum of the alphabetic orders of letters in Allah and Al-Ghaib both result in 73, a prime number, suggesting a numeric link between the divine name and the unseen. Abjad system. Using the Abjad numerals, further connections can be drawn, though primary focus remains on the standard Arabic alphabet's numeric values. Interpretations and implications. Invitation to contemplation. Numeric patterns invite believers to reflect on the depth and miraculous nature of the Qur'an. Divine order. Patterns might be seen as part of the divine order, paralleling the natural laws in the universe. Mystical reflection. In Sufi tradition, numerology can be part of seeking deeper spiritual meanings, though it's not mainstream. Scholarly view. Caution against overinterpretation. Mainstream Islamic scholarship advises focusing on the Qur'an's clear guidance over esoteric interpretations. Historical context. Numerology has been part of Islamic tradition but is not central to Islamic theology or practice. Potential benefits and risks. Educational engagement. Numerology can be an engaging way to teach about the Qur'an's complexity, but should complement, not overshadow, primary teachings. Risk of misdirection. Overemphasis on numbers might lead to distraction from the Qur'an's ethical and moral messages or to superstition. Modern perspectives. Digital analysis. Modern technology allows for new explorations of these patterns, but this should be approached with scholarly rigor. Interfaith dialogue. Similar numeric interests in other religions can facilitate discussions on shared human quests for meaning. Core message. Focus on guidance. The primary purpose of the Qur'an is guidance, not number puzzles. Numerology should not detract from this core function. Humility. Numeric patterns can remind believers of the infinite and mysterious aspects of Allah's knowledge, fostering humility. These points encapsulate the balance between the fascination with numeric patterns in the Qur'an and the need to maintain focus on its primary spiritual and moral guidance. Continuing from the key points, here are additional considerations. Broader context, cultural universality. The interest in numerology within the Qur'an reflects a broader human tendency to find patterns and meaning in sacred texts across cultures. Symbolism. Over substance, numbers can serve as symbols or metaphors for deeper truths, but they should not be mistaken for the substance of the message. Numerology in practice, personal reflection. Individuals might find personal spiritual enrichment in exploring these patterns, using them as a means to meditate on the Qur'an's teachings. Community discussions. These patterns can be a topic of community discussion, fostering a sense of wonder about the text, but always with an emphasis on the Qur'an's guidance. Challenges and criticisms. Lack of consensus. There's no scholarly consensus on the significance of these patterns. Interpretations vary widely, and many see them as coincidental rather than intentional. Potential for misinterpretation. There's a risk that numerology could be used to support unconventional interpretations or predictions, which can lead to confusion or deviation from Islamic orthodoxy. Educational use, engagement with youth. Patterns can be used to engage younger generations with the Qur'an, potentially sparking interest in its study through a more modern analytical lens. Literary appreciation. Understanding numerology can enhance appreciation of the Qur'an's literary beauty, including its structure, rhythm, and memorability. Philosophical implications. Mathematical beauty. The potential presence of mathematical beauty in the Qur'an could be seen as another aspect of its miraculous nature, reflecting the rationality and orderliness of divine revelation. Infinity and mystery. The study of numbers in the Qur'an can lead to contemplations on the infinite aspects of Allah's knowledge and the mysteries of creation. Ethical considerations. Balance with mainstream learning. While exploring these patterns, one must balance this with traditional learning methods like Tapestry, exegesis, and hadith studies to maintain a holistic understanding of Islam. Avoiding innovation. Care must be taken not to invent new religious practices or beliefs based on numerology, which could be considered bid'ah, innovation in religion. Interdisciplinary connections, mathematics and religion. The intersection of mathematics with religious texts can be a field of study, examining how mathematical concepts like prime numbers might reflect or be reflected in religious thought. Psychology of pattern recognition. Understanding why humans seek patterns in texts can offer insights into psychology, cognition, and the human quest for meaning. Concluding reflections. Numerology as a tool. It should be seen as a tool for engaging with the Qur'an, not as the primary method of understanding its message. Respect for the text. Any exploration must be done with respect for the sanctity of the Qur'an, ensuring that numerological interpretations do not contradict its clear, established teachings. Continuous learning. Numerology can be part of the continuous learning and exploration of the Qur'an, encouraging believers to approach it with both reverence and curiosity. These points highlight the multifaceted approach to numerology in the context of the Qur'an, emphasizing that while it can be an area of interest, it must always be secondary to the Qur'an's primary role as a guide for humanity. Knowledge of the hour, the sending down of rain, knowing which is in the wombs, provisions and earnings of the future, and death are all al-jib, al-ghaib, knowledge of the unseen or invisible that is only known to Allah. They are 5 gates whose keys Allah has given to none of His creation. The keys of the unseen are in the hands of none but Allah, glorified be He. This is referred to in the verses of the Qur'an that mention those keys. The 5 keys of the unseen were mentioned in the Qur'an within the framework of prime numbers. But why is that? Because al-Jaib, al-Ghaib, or knowledge of the unseen, is known only to Allah, the One, glorified and exalted be He. Prime numbers are only divided by themselves or one. They still remain a mystery challenging the human mind. Their secret is only known to Allah, glorified be He. The prime numbers used by the Qur'an to refer to the order of surahs or the number of verses are 31. Surah number 31 in the Qur'an is Surat Luqman. In the conclusion of this surah, there is the only verse in the Qur'an that gathers and sums up the 5 keys of the unseen. Inwa luwaha indahu ilma luswa agi wa yunazilul gaitha wa yalamu ma fil arhami wa matadri nafsun mada taksibu gadan wa matadri nafsun bi'ayi wa din tamutu inwa luwaha alimun kabirun. 43, Luqman 34. Lo, Allah, with Him is knowledge of the hour. He sends down the rain and knows that which is in the wombs. No soul knows what it will earn tomorrow, and no soul knows in what land it will die. Lo, Allah is all-knower, all-aware. Surat Luqman. Examine this verse carefully. The 5 keys of the invisible end with the following 5 words. Liswa adi, lagaitha, lahami, gadan, tamutu. The hour rain, the wombs, tomorrow die. Think of the order of these 5 words in the verse. The word swa'adi, the hour, is word number 5 from the beginning of the verse and 23 from its end. The word swa'adi, die, is number 5 from the end of the verse and 23 from its beginning. Both 5 and 23 are prime numbers. The word lahame, the wombs, is number 11 from the beginning of the verse and number 17 from its end. The word gadan, tomorrow, is number 11 from the end of the verse and 17 from its beginning. Both 11 and 17 are prime numbers. The word lgaitha, rain, is number 7 from the beginning of the verse. 7 is a prime number. Amazing numerical links between the unseen, eljib, and prime numbers. Prime numbers are only divided by themselves or one. Thus the 5 keys of the unseen are known to none but Allah, glorified be He. Have you seen how numbers speak? Glory be to you, Allah, contemplate once more. The 5 keys of the unseen end with 5 words in the following order. The word, l'swa'ari, the hour, is number 5 from the beginning of the verse. The word lagaitha, rain, is number 7 from the beginning of the verse. The word lahami, the wombs, is number 11 from the beginning of the verse. The word gadan, tomorrow, is number 17 from the beginning of the verse. The word tamutu, die, is number 23 from the beginning of the verse. These 5 numbers are prime numbers whose sum equals sign 63. 63 is the age at which the Prophet Muhammad, PB Auch, died. It is interesting that the 5th and last word is tamutu, die. More astonishing is that tamutu, die, is word number 23 in the verse. 23 is the number of the years of the revelation of the Qur'an. Glory be to Allah. The verse of Surat Luqman included the 5 keys of the unseen, but it did not include the phrase Miftij el-Jib, Afati al-Ghaib, the keys of the unseen. So where was it mentioned? Here in this verse from Surat Al-Anam. وَعِنْدَهُ مَفْوَاتِهُ الْغَيَابِ لَيَعْلَمُهَا إِلْوَ هَوَّ وَيَعْلَمُ مَا فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ وَمَا تَسْقُطُ مِنْ وَرَقَةٍ إِلَّا يَعْلَمُهَا وَلَا حَبَّةٍ فِي ظُلُمَاتِ الْأَرْضِ وَلَا رَطْبٍ وَلَا يَابِسٍ إِلَّا فِي كِتَابٍ مُبِينٍ. 95 and 59. And with him are the keys of the unseen. None but he knows them, and he knows what is in the land and the sea. Not a leaf falls, but he knows it. Not a grain in the darkest bowels of the earth. Nothing of wet or dry, but it is noted in a clear record. Surat Al-Anam. Yes, the phrase is in this verse from Surat Al-Anam. The verse is number 59, and this is a prime number. The word eljib, al-ghaib, is number 3 from the beginning of the verse, and this is a prime number. The word eljib, al-ghaib, is number 29 from the end of the verse, and this is a prime number. The verse has 113 letters, and this is a prime number. The verse has 31 words, and this is a prime number. It is interesting that 31 is the order of Surat Luqman in the Qur'an. It is the only surah in which the phrase Mafatihul Ghaibi, the keys of the invisible, is included. Glory be to Allah. See how knowledge of the unseen is associated with prime numbers. These numbers whose knowledge is still hidden and concealed. Consider now what is more amazing. The sum of the alphabetical orders of the letters of Mafatihul Ghaibi, Mafati al-Ghaib, equals sign 127. The letter M is number 24 in the Arabic alphabet. The order of letter F is number 20. The order of letter is number 1. The order of letter T is number 3. The order of letter H is number 6. The letter order of is number 1. The order of letter L is number 23. The order of letter G is number 19. The order of letter Y is number 28. The order of letter B is number 2. 127 is a prime number whose order on the list of prime numbers is 31. 31 is a prime number whose order on the list of prime numbers is 11. 11 is a prime number whose order on the list of prime numbers is 5. 5 is a prime number, and it is the number of the keys of the invisible. 5 is also the number of letters of the word eljib, al-ghaib. Isn't that amazing? Now here is what is more wondrous and wonderful. Examine the verse of the 5 keys of the unseen once again. In waha, indahu ilma lilswa agi, wa yunazilu lilgaitha wa yalamu mafil ahami wa matadri nafsun mada taksibu gadan wa matadri nafsun bi ayu odin tamutu inwal waha alimun kabirun 43 al-Kumun 34. Lo, Allah, with him is knowledge of the hour. He sends down the rain and knows that which is in the wombs. No soul knows what it will earn tomorrow, and no soul knows in what land it will die. Lo, Allah is all-knower, all-aware. Surat Luqman. The letters of the name of Allah, LH, are repeated in this verse 43 times. The letter is repeated in the verse 18 times. The letter L is repeated 11 times. The letter L is repeated 11 times. The letter H is repeated 3 times. It is interesting that the letters of the word Al-Jib, Al-Gaib, were also repeated in the verse 43 times. The letter is repeated in the verse 18 times. The letter L is repeated 11 times. The letter G is repeated twice. The letter Y is repeated 9 times. The letter B is repeated 3 times. In both cases, 43 is a prime number. Indeed, no one but Allah, glorified and exalted be He, knows the invisible. This is what numbers say and assert in all possible ways. More highlights. The sum of the alphabetical orders of the letters of the word .73 equal sign, El-Jib. The letter L is number 1 in the Arabic alphabet. The order of the letter L is number 23. The order of the letter G is number 19. The order of the letter Y is number 28. The order of the letter B is number 2. Amazing and even wondrous is the fact that the total of the alphabetical orders of the letters of the name of Allah, LH, equal sign 73 as well. The letter is number 1 in the Arabic alphabet. The order of the letter L is number 24. The order of the letter L is number 23. The order of the letter H is number 26. In both cases, 73 is a prime number. Glory be to Allah. See how the keys of the unseen or invisible are associated with prime numbers. Those numbers which still pose a challenge to the human mind. For the secrets of prime numbers and the keys of the invisible are only known to Allah, the One, glorified and exalted be He. Indeed, the Holy Qur'an is the word of Allah.